how should the Attorney General interact with other public and private stakeholders in Rhode Island? Well, I think that partnership is critical. It was a priority of mine as U.S. Attorney to be a good partner to others, both in the public and private sector. The reason it's so critical is there's very little you can do anywhere, and in particular in Rhode Island on your own on some of these major issues that we face. You can't tackle the opioid crisis without parents who can speak in a real way to other parents and kids. I found that when I went to the high schools. With me was a mother who lost her child. She spoke in a real powerful way to those kids. In law enforcement, we can't attack violent crime in silos. We've got to work together to identify the people who are driving violent crime and bring all of our state, federal, and local resources to bear on an issue. In corruption, we've got to work with the Board of Elections. We've got to work with the Ethics Commission to identify those bad actors that are straying from where they should be and hold them account. So there's very little you can do in a silo. If you go into the bunker and don't partner, you're not going to advance the ball. Another example is child sex trafficking, the child sex trafficking work that we did, developing protocols for law enforcement to use when they encounter a victim of child sex trafficking in doing their work, building a support network for victims, making sure they get health care, making sure that they get mental health or substance abuse treatment if they need it. You can't do that as the Attorney General alone. You can't do that as the U.S. Attorney alone. You've got to build a partnership. For example, in the child sex trafficking area, we work with Day One and DCYF and law enforcement and the Attorney General's office and the U.S. Attorney's office to build a strong support network for victims. So again, you can't accomplish very much if you don't get out of the office and engage. You can't rebuild post-Ferguson law enforcement community trust if you don't get out there and speak to communities of color. You can't build trust with a tribe so that you can tamp down tense situations or help do that unless you're out there developing a relationship before bad times start. I'm a big believer in building relationships in good times so that you can rely on those relationships in bad times. And you can't build those relationships if you never leave the office.